you for coming through, Regine le Roux. Inspired by your journey, inspired by your pivoting from repetition matters into another sector, ReBag reuse. This concept of entrepreneurship, it's very interesting because you are a student, because most people I'll just say like, oh, kids in Guenya just went into entrepreneurship at a young age. But I want to hear your story because you went into college, the normal corporate ladder. And for some person who might not know, you might say, you're just going to get into the corporate world and just climb the ladder and stuff. So I want you to just tell us, why did you instantly went into being managing director into your own organization and stuff like that? So just please tell us a bit about your journey, who you are, and what drives the work you do.
Oh, sure, with the greatest of pleasure. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and to chat with you today. And just to share some thoughts and lessons learned. I always say learn from somebody else's mistakes that you make your own. Don't make the same mistakes that I've made out there. But I think one of the things that drives me, and I'll get to where reputation matters and ReBag started in a bit. From a reputation matters point of view, this year we're turning 20, which is absolutely insane. But the purpose of reputation matters is building businesses that people trust, respect, and want to do business with. And ReBag reuse is quite, I always joke that reputation matters is my 20-year-old, and ReBag reuse is my 4-year-old toddler. But ReBag reuse is building purpose, pride, and opportunity through creativity while reducing plastic waste and uplifting communities. So they are quite different in terms of where they started and what they were. To be quite honest, reputation matters. And I've learned never say never, but I never actually, to be quite honest, wanted to be an entrepreneur. I thought quite early on, I would be very happy to go into a corporate job, have a sustainable, or I want to kind of say, I have a cushy position for a big corporate, and that is it. But never say never. I remember telling a group of friends, I'm not going to start my own business ever. No, thank you, not me. It's not for me. But what happened was I was working for a company many, many years back, and I was reporting to somebody, my direct boss. I must admit, I was totally fed up because I was reporting to a boss that he did the bare minimum, constantly criticized me and criticized everything, actually, took all the credit and did very little. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I've got a little bit of experience. I know how I would like to be treated in the workspace. I know what business I would like to work for. Why don't I create that? Because I think one of the biggest things is very often as an entrepreneur or as a person, you think, things could be better. Why can't we do that? We need to just start somewhere. So I then that's how Reputation Matters was born. I was thinking, why am I doing this for somebody that I'd have no respect for? I can be doing it for myself. There's many, many lessons along the way, and we'll chat about all of that as well. But that's where Reputation Matters started. And it was a lot more, I want to say a lot more, a formal structure I followed in terms of setting up Reputation Matters. Because what we do at Reputation Matters, we're all about measuring and managing reputation. So helping companies to build because the reputation is all about relationships. So how do you build the relationships with your teams, with stakeholders, with other businesses? So that's what we do then. It's very structured. So it's very much numbers and it's very much Excel. And I want to say it's like it's quite, thank you. So with a reputation, the minute you want to start a business, you need to start thinking about your reputation, because your brand is what you say about yourself. That's your marketing, and it's and your behavior, and that's based on your values. your reputation, how others see that behavior. So you need to be very mindful of how you behave from day one when you want to start your business. And I think to answer your question, if I'm understanding it correctly, but guide me, is why aren't more people becoming entrepreneurs? Or do you mind
Sure,
repeating
sure.
your question?
Yeah, sure. I was just saying, why are people not escaping the system a bit, building something for, not for you, because Andam Afulega said, to be a great leader, you must build something not for you, but for the next person who's going to come. If this platform does not grow to um maybe what's the average age for a young black South African to die? It's probably 70, right? So I'm 70 now, I'm gone. But it's going to carry on, right? It's going to be up there again and again and again and again because the purpose is still there. And also not in terms of just thinking, Uguti, I'm just building something, or just working for someone the whole day. I'm just asking why not people actually tapping into that mindset? Or is it because most Black South Africans are still into that labor system of just working for the next paycheck, the next paycheck? Or we just not taught? What is the issue in your thoughts about entrepreneurship that is
Mhm.
severely attacking us as South Africans?
Yeah, so I can't speak on behalf of Black people. That
Yeah.
wouldn't be fair. But I think in terms of generalizing across the board of everybody, I think too often people are first of all scared to take that step, in terms of letting go of a comfort zone that one is in terms of sometimes it's just so comfortable to moan about stuff that you don't have. And again, this is across the board for everyone, regardless of age, regardless of demographic or who, where, or what. But I think it's being afraid to take that first step, um, and perhaps also not really knowing where to start. But I think this you have to start with believing in yourself. If you believe in yourself, others will believe in you as well. Because I think very often, I mean, if I think of what my family must have thought when I said, well, I'm going to pursue this crocheting with a bread bag. I mean, that's just absolutely nuts. That's absolutely cuckoo to try and do something like that. But you are so right. It's for the bigger picture, for the bigger benefit of the community. It's not just for self-interest. I think the minute it becomes for self-interest, it is you're putting a block in it. The minute you open it up for the greater good of everyone, and that's what ethics is as well. Ethics is doing what is good, even though we no one is watching, for the greater good of everyone. So if we look at when we do have corruption, that's not for the greater good. That's for one individual own pocket that they are lining. So we need to find ways that we all want to thrive. Everyone wants to succeed, but you cannot do that on your own, and you can't do that for self-interest. You have to do that and collaborate with the right people to be able to grow. And by growing, you'll be able to do so much more. So I don't know if that is making sense, but that's
Yeah,
my
definitely
opinion
making sense.
of it.
You then founded ReBag use after reputation matters. I found it a very interesting use of materials, right, of this country, taking something that was, and just avoiding, talking about sustainability, avoiding, pollution, but it's not also actually impacting in a good way in that manner, but it's actually taking the flow of the money of the economy back into our country. But I'm finding it so ridiculous that we're constantly buying from other people, buying from this and that. So that we need to start changing the narrative a bit more, um, reducing the exports, trying to create our own things, whether it's the minerals in here. We're gonna build things here yeah, we're gonna buy jewelry for which are gonna be made by a Black South African, and that's the story now. That's what we are gonna be fighting for as moving forward, you know. Definitely. So with the right structure, I think we do need to now having this conversation, and it's a betterment for the future, right? Because if a 20-year-old like me, 20-year-old something like me, who's just having this conversation with an older person like yourself who's more experienced in different industries and sectors, and you know, and I'm just inspired to have the platform. What is the gap, and how is ReBag reuse helping communities in a different form? Let's just dive into that aspect, and how can we grow from there and just have that conversation a bit, you know?
Perfect. Um, so just to touch on, I just quickly want to touch or take one quick step back to what you were saying of we need to rely more on each other here in Africa. I've just come back from a conference of the African Public Relations Association where there's people from the whole continent that get together speaking about communication, building reputations, the ethics side of things. And ultimately, we are one Africa. We need to support each other. It is, it's easier sometimes to fly to get stuff from overseas than it is from our neighbors. And that's absolutely ridiculous because we have to actually look after each other first and foremost. But what I was, in terms of ReBag reuse, how it's contributing to the community, it's doing so in a couple of ways. So the first one is keeping the environment clean. So we're keeping plastic from landing up in the environment, in nature. So to date, in the last 4 years, we've repurposed plastic, just over a ton's worth of plastic. So to put that into context, that's the weight of 8 baby elephants worth of plastic that hasn't gone into the nature or the environment. The ladies that we work with, they cut the plastic, they crochet with it, and as soon as they finish the product, they get reimbursed immediately. Because I think a key part of it is to be able, and that's why ReBag was started just after the COVID, to be able to give people dignity in being able to earn some money, because it's horrible and it just takes away from people's dignity if they want to borrow money, where if you can make money yourself, even if it's just cutting plastic, even if it's, as you were mentioning earlier, just looking for that entrepreneurial gap to make your own money that you've earned, that you've worked for, gives you dignity and will help you to grow and prosper. And apart from that, the sale of every product we make, a percentage goes to the neighborhood old age home as well as to the SPCA. So just spreading the love of this initiative as far as possible, making sure our environment's clean, and we're looking and caring for our community. So
What is
that's
the
what we do.
what is the SPSSA?
So the SPCA, they look after abandoned animals. So they are specifically for animals, and then we've got the neighborhood old age home where old people are. So just looking for respect across the board as far as possible.
Okay, how do you balance as an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, running two ventures with such different focuses, one on communications and reputations, the other sustainability? How do you balance as a family person, also doing that, also doing that? I mean, it must be a lot. I'm probably thinking you're married now, and I want to know if I know it might be a personal question, because most of the times we now have this authoritarian woman in the space we're in, who's saying no, um Kale sami Statsulu la, I'm going to be ruling, you know, in this house, and I have to um decide that I want to be financially stable has that ever impacted your relationships whatsoever in your personal life? And how is that how do you view that scenario in this space we're in with the media now always pushing um, the attacks on female versus male controversies that we always experience in social media?
So I think first and foremost, I'm incredibly grateful for my family support. So they've always just been incredibly supportive because, as you've said, it's two businesses. The one I didn't actually really didn't plan for ReBag to snowball into what it is today. So it does take away a lot of time from family life, but I believe in balance with everything. There has to be balance with everything. So I have a ton of to-do lists to make sure that I get through everything, very clear goals that I want to achieve each week. I've got Monday to Thursdays are my reputation matters days. Fridays and Saturdays are my ReBag days. And then Sundays are rest. I think it's really important to rest and to connect spiritually, regardless of who and what people believe in. I think you need to have that connection. And I think as well, so for example, my day starts off with my day starts really early, so I go to bed early. But I'll share how my morning looks like because it really guides the rest of my day to fall into place. So it starts off with I actually want to say the minute I get up, I'm grateful. I'm so incredibly grateful for making it through the night. But also the fact is that there's so much to be grateful for. And somebody once shared with me the way that your mouth is. If your mouth is smiling when you wake up, that's the direction your day is going to go. If you wake up grumpy and upset and your mouth is down, your day is going to be down. So I make sure I wake up in happy and positive. I meditate for half an hour in terms of just being able to connect, just to have some quiet time. I think it's very important to have that balance in one's life. I read for half an hour and I exercise for half an hour. And then from there, I'll start my day in terms of what needs to happen. But I think very often it's so easily the minute you wake up to look at your phone, to check emails, to start working immediately. But just to kind of focus yourself for the day really helps.
Do you think the system was made in such a way that it's 6 in the morning till what you call when you're going to work, you call it 8 to 5, or and stuff like that? Do you think it was made in such a way that you'll never escape the system, you never escape the corporate ladder? I'm asking this question. We're humans in our primitive levels, right? In our primary levels, we're animals. There's this great book called Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh,
So there's
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you know it, but there's actually two, there's Curry and I don't know the other fella, and there's the other two humans, small humans in a maze, right? Um, these two humans, little humans in the maze, they were running, looking for cheese, etc., etc., etc. And these other two mices, I should say, they were also looking for cheese. So they found the cheese in a certain section, found it, ate the cheese in the morning, and the two humans ate the cheese in the afternoon, right? The two humans. So when the cheese at some stage was running out, right, but they weren't noticing, they were just eating, for the day. So when the cheese ran out, was depleted, these two mice again were like, ish, there's no mice now. Hey, Sunzanjan, let's go look for more cheese. And they just went out. Scary was moving with his friend, etc. And these two humans now, they're like, where's my cheese? This, that. Hey, what am I gonna do with all the emotions that humans experience? Depression, anxiety. Now they're confused. What am I going to do in this system? I mean, in this maze, I'm trying to find my cheese, but I cannot find it. So at some point, um, this other guy, because days, I think 2 days or something passed, starting to get hungry, is asking the other guy, hey, let's find my cheese. Let's find more cheese. I mean, let's find more cheese. So they go out and look for cheese. Because this guy goes out and look for cheese because this other guy was saying, I'm just gonna stay. I can't fight for more cheese. I'm just tired. I'm just gonna wait until cheese just comes out of nowhere because it's going to come out of nowhere. And this other guy, human, he went out looking for cheese until he finds the cheese in sometime later, etc. But now the whole analogy of this thing is because we as humans are going to experience emotions of not pivoting, going to reputation matters and just pivoting to ReBag reuse because of that mindset of actually finding more cheese, finding more opportunities out there to actually um, find your pathway and become a superior being, I should say, because I think I was stating my point at the time is that are we as animals conditioned by the elites to actually stay to watch this news, watch NCA, watch CNBC Africa, watch all these platforms and just be following the rules, the narrative that's always going to be spreading out there. So yeah, that was my point. I was just thinking
No,
out
I
of
love it.
the blue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just thinking out of the blue and I was like, this makes so much sense because as a person, I think it's important to always keep moving, you know?
Absolutely. Exactly. I want to touch on the point that you made earlier when we started chatting about, I think you said school is a scam, or that you feel that, that we need to, I don't, I think anybody can and should. There's no reason anybody can't become a specialist or an expert in their area. Why anybody can't become an entrepreneur. The amount of resources available on the internet these days. First of all, the library. Most towns, most places have a library and all the books are free there. All the videos and resources available on YouTube. If you spend 20 minutes each day empowering yourself with knowledge, be it sales, marketing, reputation, how to sell anything, that information is out there. But I think very often, and I think this links to what you were saying now, people want to be spoon-fed. People don't want to do it for themselves. They want other people to do it for them. But no one on this earth is going to be able to teach you something that you don't want to learn. Then it cannot make you do something that you don't that you can't do. So, for example, I was living in Joburg for many years, and I grew up in Pretoria, but I've always wanted to live in Cape Town. And I thought, oh, I'm going to move to Joburg, but I always want to move to Cape Town. And until I realized one day, nobody on this earth could care less whether or not I move to Cape Town. It makes absolutely, if I want to make it happen, I need to make it happen. If I want reputation matters to be successful, I cannot expect anybody else to help me if I'm not willing to put in the work. Same with ReBag reuse. So I think it's so important to recognize it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter what your level of education is, but if you are willing to succeed, then seeing that knowledge, that wisdom that you can get through free resources can really help you grow and to achieve what you want to achieve. I don't know if that makes sense and touches back on what you were saying earlier.
Definitely. Let's talk about ReBag reuse. What sparked your passion for sustainability and reducing plastic waste? Was it just a finding a gap in the market, kind of entrepreneurial spirits?
Kind of. I think from a reputation matters point of view, we've always worked with clients with an environmental element to it, or a corporate social investment element to it, because we help to build brands, we help to build reputations that are, I want to say that are kind to the communities, that has the bigger picture in mind. So environment's always been very, very core and close to our hearts. So it was kind of just I don't know, it's a whole thing about synchronicity, how everything just falls into place. Because I also feel reputation matters has taught me so many lessons over the years, which I'm implementing now with how I want to say, like, how I'm raising ReBag now, to be able to use the lessons from reputation matters into the ReBag child. So it yeah, I think what's absolutely crucial for both, and for any entrepreneur, any business, is it doesn't matter if you don't have an immediate strategy. It's fine. It doesn't matter if you don't have an immediate vision. What is crucial and the most important thing is that you know what your values are. You need to know what are your core values that you live by, that dictate your behavior, because that will guide who you do business with, who are the people you want to do business with, the companies you want to get on board as sponsors, companies that you want to support, and when you start employing people, that they resonate with your values. So that's really, really important. It really helps from a decision-making point of view. So for example, at Reputation Matters, ours is growth, respect, ethical, authenticity, trust, excellence, and relationships. Now, if we speak with a new customer, and now sometimes you don't always, you don't want to say no to a customer or a client at all. But if they're going to do something that is disrespectful to the environment, or they do not respect me or my team, they do unethical stuff, we don't want to touch them. We don't want to work with companies, because if they do something unethical and if they do something dodgy, that is a reflection on us, and that will directly impact our reputation. And a good reputation is what people want to be associated with. So if anything, is to know exactly what your core values are. And from a ReBag point of view, it's teamwork, creativity, and respect as well. So all of those things. So even when we meet each other on a Saturday morning, we need to make sure we respect the space where we are meeting, that we leave it even cleaner than what it was when we found it. It's just those small little things to make sure that we actually add more value to every single interaction than when we started.
Thank you so much. Just closing off, what do you want to see change in politics? Your advice for any aspiring entrepreneur who wants to get into your space, and yeah, that'll be good to close off.
Shucks, politics. I don't know if I can speak politics. So we always say we don't do work for political parties, for like tobacco and those companies, as in the, but my personal opinion, although there's no such thing as a personal opinion, your opinions are your opinions. I think if we get our leadership to send the children to public school, use public medical facilities, as well as so it's education, medical, and public transport, we'll see a lot of changes if people are forced to use those three things, is what I think. In terms of entrepreneurship, I think just do it. If you're going to wait for the perfect conditions, then you're going to wait forever, because there'll always be an excuse not to do it. Just start. even if it's just a small step, even if it's just watching one YouTube video, even if it's just writing one email, just start. Forward is forward. I train, I mean, friends and I, for fun, we do run a lot. I don't run particularly fast, but we train for marathons. We do them for fun. And the biggest thing is, as long as you're moving forward, step by step, even if you're crawling, you are moving forward. So do a small thing every day, little bit by little bit. Start your journey on your entrepreneurship and ask for help along the way as well. I think that's so important, but just do it. I think, and enjoy the journey and have fun. Have a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for coming through, and I appreciate your presence and Left by the Page.
Appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.